Okay, it is Tuesday, July 19th, 2022, and the new Guild Wars 2 patch notes just came out in the middle of our morning stream on EU. And let's just dive right into it. Living World Season 1 Clockwork Chaos. In the wake of the climactic events of the personal story, a villainous plot is coming to fruition. Queen Jenna has announced a grand gathering to celebrate the 10th anniversary of her rule and the enduring spirit of Kryta. But behind the scenes, not all is going entirely according to plan. Meet up with your friends Rox and Bram, friends is a strong word, for the commencement ceremony and confront the enemy behind the recent disturbances face to face. After years of being unavailable, the Clockwork Chaos episode of the Living World storyline has restored and restructured as a linear story journal episode. This episode is permanently available for free to all players and does not need to be unlocked. Over the upcoming year, we'll release 2 more episodes of Season 1 to chronicle the Commander's battle against the lurking evil between the end of the personal story and the beginning of Living World Season 2. The original Clockwork Chaos achievements, along with a set of new achievements, are now in a Clockwork Chaos category in the Story Journal achievements section. Completing the new achievements will progress a new Clockwork Chaos Mastery Meta achievement to earn new rewards. Existing achievements will retain their completion status if you earn them during the original Clockwork Chaos release. Some existing achievements have been updated with additional goals or revised goals to ensure that they can still be completed. This is all standard stuff. This is what they've done for all the episodes so far. Just making it to where you can get those achievements again if you wish to. The original event's worldwide Clockwork invasions have been replaced by a permanent recurring invasion event taking place in Gunduran Fields every 2 hours. Oh, sweet. So I bet that'll get added to the event timers webpage on the wiki. And as a reminder to anyone who doesn't know, if you're in-game, you can type /wiki_ET and it will open the event timers webpage and you can see any events that are about to happen at any time. Very useful if any new players don't know that. Core Tyria World Boss improvements. We've made updates and adjustments to each of the 4 starting zones world bosses. Each of the 4. Char, please know you're not actually considered to be a starting race. You're just kind of there. Our goal is to bring them closer to our current design standards by adding skill telegraphs and defiance bars, improving encounter mechanics, and rebalancing health pools to accommodate the power level of modern profession builds. The Great Jungle Worm, Shadow Behemoth, and Svanir Shaman Chief also received some model and texture quality improvements, and 1 champion loot bag will be added to the completion rewards for each event. So the 4th one is the Fire Elemental, which is outside of the Asura zone, so they didn't retexture that one. But to be fair, it's just a fire tornado, there's not a lot to really work on there. The Great Jungle Worm. Updated the model for the Jungle Worm to improve texture quality and model detail, increased boss health, updated the mechanics, improved messaging of skill telegraphs, rebalanced skills across the encounter, added additional rewards for successfully completing the encounter. Shadow Behemoth. Updated the model for the Shadow Behemoth to improve texture quality, boss health, mechanics, telegraphs, rebalanced skills, increased portal health of the Shadow Behemoth, adjusted portals to now take Condi and critical damage, added additional rewards for successfully completing the encounter. Finally, you can use a Condi build when fighting the Shadow Behemoth after almost 10 years. Fire Elemental, increased boss health, updated mechanics, improved messaging of skill telegraphs, rebalanced skills across the encounter, added additional rewards for successfully completing it. Svanir Chieftain, updated the model of both the chief and his transformed state to improve the texture quality and model detail, updated the model of his dragon totem that he summons, updated boss health, updated and changed mechanics of the encounter, improved messaging of skill telegraphs, rebalanced skills across the encounter, added additional rewards for successfully completing the encounter. All right. Fractal instability. They did say that they were going to be making some changes to the instabilities in Fractals this patch. The Mistlock instability system is intended to keep Fractal the Mist feeling fresh, with each instability introducing a new twist that provides additional challenges when completing an encounter. However, some instability combinations have a tendency to be more frustrating than challenging or fun. That is true. For example, Frailty lowers your max health by a percentage, and then Outflanked increases damage taken by 400% if something hits you in the side or back. If you have Frailty and Outflanked, if anything hits you from not the front, it's usually a one-shot. So some of them were quite challenging. Additionally, if you were fighting Siren's Reef, which I know is my favorite, and I know it's all of yours favorite as well, I'm being serious talking about me, I'm being sarcastic talking about you. I know there's a lot of things with that can really mess you up on the boat, because there's already so many mechanics going on. In the July 19th update, we're making adjustments to nearly every mislock instability to reduce frustrating difficulty spikes, reward players for taking advantage of positive play opportunities, and increase the synergy between instabilities across the board. We'll be keeping a close eye on these changes and how players adapt to them. Siren's Grief? I've never heard that. Adrenaline Rush. Reduce enemies' damage reduction when unaffected by Enrage from 20% to 10. Enraged enemies now do 100% increased damage, but cannot crit. Critical hits with 150% damage could result in random spikes of lethal damage with very little counterplay. Our goal is to smooth out these spikes by lowering the highest potential damage and raising the lowest potential damage. All right. They're doing the little notes. Okay. Very glad to see this. So the previous patch that they did, which everybody rioted about, is kind of like a Canadian riot, you know, where people just like push over a garbage can. But their little riot about that would have been completely avoided if they had included these notes. Like, here's what we did, here's why we did it. It's like, okay, even if they miss the mark, you can be like, okay, I get what you were trying to do there. So I like that they did that. All right, Afflicted. The instability is now increases the duration of both resistance and resolution. Boon duration increase has been lowered from 50 to 33%. Hey, Chip. It was the quietest meow. I don't know if y'all heard it. Resistance upkeep was a bit too easy with this instability active and did not directly contribute to protection against enemy condition damage. Resolution has been added to this instability's duration benefit to give it clear counterplay for players to take advantage of. All right, pretty clear. Boon Overload. Rather than increasing incoming strike damage, each boon on the player now reduces max health by 1.5% to a max of 18% with full boons. Okay. As long as one... I have a couple of questions. Like, one is, like, if your boons wear off, does your min health and max health go up? Or are you suddenly... Like, if you were 18k... if you were 10k out of 10k, are you then 10k out of 12k? Or do you go back up... Do you need a heal after your boons wear off every time? In any case, if you've got protection as one of your boons, it's still worth booning. Booning. Changing from incoming strike damage to max health percentage ensures that all incoming damage is relevant to the risk of boon upkeep with the instability active. Yeah, because incoming strike damage was power only, not Condi. It also enables better synergy with other instabilities that focus on increased raw damage. Flux Bomb. Flux Bombs now affect 50% less space, have 50% shorter duration, and occur 50% less frequently. Wow. That's big. Additionally, enemies standing in Flux Bombs from this instability are now afflicted with random conditions. Oh, that's so fun! You can use them offensively. Flux Bombs are incredibly noisy, and a reduction in size and duration should help clean up the field of battle. The increased frequency creates more opportunities to strategically place these around the battlefield, and afflicting conditions on enemies further incentivizes proper placement of both enemies and bombs. I like it. That sounds fun. 50% more frequently. It's important to really clarify this. That means that they will happen more often, but be smaller and wear off sooner. But you can use them to hurt enemies. Fractal Vindicators. Vindicator damage has been reduced by 20%. Health has been reduced by 33%. So Vindicators, that would be like if you went downstate while this instability was active, a Vindicator would spawn and start trying to finish you off or attack your allies. So if you had a fight where people went downstate, got revived, you could end up with a lot of Vindicators running around and wipe because of it. Vindicators are meant to be threatening and a clear priority target when they spawn due to high damage output and ability to compound existing encounter mechanics. The health decrease encourages players to take these enemies down as quickly as possible, while the damage increase makes it riskier to leave them alone. 20% more damage, but 33% less health on the Vindis. Oh man. Frailty. Rather than reduce your health, players now take 10% increased damage from all sources. What was it before? Was it 30? I feel like before it was 30. Someone correct me in chat if I'm wrong. Health reduction is a very punishing condition when it's always on. Changing to increased damage provides clearer counterplay from keeping up protection, while improving synergy between this instability and the newly reworked Boon Overload. It used to be 25%, chat says. Okay. All right. So 25% less health was changed into 10% more damage from all sources. But then you lose max health from Boon Overload. So Boon Overload and Frailty is going to be interesting if you don't have Prot. Hamstrung. The slow effect caused by this instability has been capped at 33%. Losing movement speed when damaged is a very powerful form of compounding failure when left uncapped, mitigating the potential for rallying moments in which the players come back from the brink of death. The new 33% cap maintains the risk of unhealed damage intake and reinforces the usage of swiftness and super speed as counterplay in dire moments. Last Laugh. That's when the enemies explode a little bit after they die. Enemies' explosions will now take 1 second longer before firing, but do a flat 25% damage to health. Stunned enemies now apply regeneration, stability, and protection to nearby players on death. So interesting. So if you stun them right before they die, you get boons? Last Laugh can be very frustrating in Fractals with large groups of enemies. True, like the Pocket Raptors on the early Siren's Reef. If they had Last Laugh, it'd be like a million tiny bombs. The extra second to maneuver around the attacks give players additional grace, while the flat attack damage percentage reinforces the need to respect the mechanic. Enemies applying regen in addition to protection and stability further reinforces the desire to coordinate finishing off stunned enemies. Okay. Very interesting. I mean, if you're in a group that is already, you know, handling boons and stuff, regen is almost always going to already be there. Stability and protection are less common, but they will often be there as well, especially because in Fractals, people really want a healer that can give stab. But it's, you know, a stack of it. It's interesting. But I like the 1 second longer thing and the cap damage, because I've had times where Last Laugh, sometimes combined with like Outflank or Frailty, would like almost one-shot me if I got caught in one, and it's knowing that it's a cap, if you're full health, getting caught in one is less of a threat. Okay, no pain, no gain. Stripping boons from enemies will now apply that boon to nearby allies. The previous effect of life stealing when stripping boons had reduced value if the player was full health. Applying boons to your party is nearly always a benefit and introduces some interesting synergy with this ability is coupled with boon overload. Interesting synergy. So boon overload is when you have boons, you have reduced max health, and no pain, no gain is now when you take boons from an enemy, you put them on your team. Okay. It says interesting synergy. It's like bullying synergy. Honestly, that's not too bad. That sounds like something that can be handled, but that's interesting. Okay, so Outflanked. So Outflanked used to be if you got hit from the side or back, it was like 400% more damage. That was the example I gave earlier where that combined with Old Frailty could get you one shot without, like, easily. The damage reduction from being attacked head-on has been removed. Players now take 100% increased damage when attacked from behind. Non-boss enemies now take 100% increased damage when attacked from behind or the side. Oh, we get to outflank them too. Okay. Outflanked causes some serious damage spikes that were capable of one-shotting players, which is rarely fun. The change to an offensive benefit that affects both players and enemies further enforces a risk-reward for players that can result in faster clear times when groups take advantage of the instability. Man, imagine like some group doing like a timed run that's all about like, you know, provoke, one person provokes and everyone else backstabs for double damage. That could be interesting if Discretize or any groups like them managed to pull that off. And that was with non-boss? Yeah, non-boss enemies. So you can't backstab bosses with Outflanked. Social awkwardness. The pushback mechanic when standing near another player can now be negated by stability. That's good and bad. There are many mechanics in Fractals that encourage players to stand together. Allowing players to use stability to counter the pushback of this instability creates the opportunity to clever skill usage and group coordination. So, social awkwardness. Everybody would get a little, like, aura around them, and if you ran into another player, it would push them. Valen would often like to push me off of cliffs in Fractals. If that can be negated by stability, it does, like, a push pulse, like, every second. So that means if you grouped up, like, your stability would get eaten up really quickly, I would imagine. Unless it just consumes the stability stack once and then you get together and then it doesn't use another till you leave and come together. But I could see sometimes where you use stability for a reason and then social awkwardness accidentally eats the stability and then you don't have stability for the thing that you did it for and then you're in trouble. So this could be like a positive change and a more difficult change for us. Stick together. Incoming damage when not within range of 300 of an ally now is increased by 25%, down from 60. Players now deal 5% increased damage when within 300 range of an ally, rather than taking 20% reduced damage. Okay, so there's a positive effect to it now. Stick Together created some moments of spiky damage intake and could feel unfair on encounters with mechanics that force players away from each other. Reducing the percentage increases and flipping the positive from a defensive boon to an offensive one further reduces out the damage curve and actively rewards players who position themselves correctly throughout the encounter. These changes also create more synergy between this instability and others, such as social awkwardness, which can now be countered. I still don't want social awkwardness and Stick Together at the same time. I still don't want to see it, even with the stability thing. Sugar Rush. Reduce the attack speed and movement speed increase on enemies from 35 to 25%. Enemies with Sugar Rush now have 25% reduced crit strike chance. I always felt like Sugar Rush was the freebie. I don't know if anyone else felt that way. Like, I felt like it'd be like, oh, outflanked. Oh, Sugar Rush. Okay, so it's just outflanked today. Like, I always felt like Sugar Rush was nothing. Enemies with high attack speed can be very dangerous, as more frequent attacks mean more opportunities to crit. When combined with other instabilities that increase damage intake, this instability could be incredibly deadly and result in a higher chance of enemies one-shotting players. Toning down the attack speed increase and reducing crit chance allows better synergy with all instabilities. Okay. Toxic Sickness. Toxic Sickness Vomit Attack now affects both allies and enemies. Oh no! So the enemies that are already facing you and chasing you around are going to be vomiting at the same time. Oh no! This applies poison, torment, confusion, and debilitated conditions. In Fractals, debilitated decreases outgoing damage by 10% per stack up to 30. We want there to be a clear risk-reward element to Toxic Sickness, focusing on creating opportunities for strategic positioning among the group to take full advantage of the instability. The rewards are high, although the punishment for failure is higher. Wait, hold on, let me reread this. This could be interpreted two ways. This could mean either A, the enemies are also throwing up, or B, the player's throw-up attack now affects enemies, and you can hurt them when you do it. If it's the second, that's not nearly as catastrophic as I thought it was. The Toxic Sickness Vomit Attack now affects allies and allies. So if it's the second one, that makes more sense now after reading the notes here. I was thinking all the enemies that are constantly facing you with their perfect AI would be throwing up, and I was just like, okay, all right. So it's not that bad. It's not that bad. All right, Toxic Trail. In addition to cleansing the area, blocking a trail attack now applies the exposed condition to enemies near the source of the trail. Blocking a trail attack now applies the exposed condition to enemies near the source. Okay. This effect can be triggered once per second per trail. So you just give the group Aegis and run through the trail? The instability needed some extra incentive for engaging in the trail cleansing mechanic, especially in scenarios with fewer enemies and therefore fewer trails. The ability to apply exposed to enemies by cleansing the trail creates some strategic play opportunities and interesting synergy with other instabilities such as new outflanked. Interesting. There's other ways to block, of course, too. Like Engineer Shield 5 blocks everything for 2.5 seconds. So like you can activate that and run through a bunch of trails. Okay. Vengeance. Vengeance now affects elite foes. In addition to applying weakness, stripping boons now deals damage to nearby enemies. Weakness was a good incentive to engage with boon stripping mechanics, but did not feel powerful enough on its own. The additional damage applied by stripping boons rewards engaged players with faster clear times. Okay. Vengeance now affects elite foes. So Vengeance was like when a mob would die, other mobs would get like enraged. When it says elite foes, I'm wondering if that also applies to the bosses? Because I'm like, now I'm imagining any boss where it summons ads, you kill the ads, and then you got an enraged boss. I kind of hope that just means the big trash mobs. But I'm not positive. We Bleed Fire. This instability was removed from the active rotation. Okay, I can probably speak for all of you and say this is probably your favorite part. I gotta say, as a healer, We Bleed Fire was exciting times. It kept things extremely interesting. Very interesting. Dude, yo, Siren's Reef with We Bleed Fire. I had a lot to do. I got a lot of gameplay out of that. We Bleed Fire was a frustrating instability to play around because it was difficult to read in combat with many enemies. What did it do? So We Bleed Fire, when you would hit an enemy, it would periodically emit like I think it was 6 projectiles. Like imagine like in a circle, like projectiles would go out from it in all directions. And if they hit you, you would get burning. And it would happen from all enemies. Like you'd be AoEing a bunch of enemies and just suddenly have 20 stacks of burning in return, in response. Or even bosses. It would add a lot of damage to boss fights because they would just be sending out these burning conditions constantly as you hit them. So that, and then, couple that with anything where you're AoEing and it was really crazy. It could also double up with other abilities to create gameplay moments that felt unfair or stacked against the player. Rather than reworking the instability, we've shelved it and spent the additional time on polishing and improving the rest of the lineup. Raids. With this update, I feel like they probably couldn't come up with a good solution for this, so they're like, all right, put it up to the side for now. Yeah. Yeah, yo, if you had Siren's Reef with like Flux Bombs and We Bleed Fire, it was like just constant screaming. Like there was just everywhere. There was just stuff everywhere to deal with. Or like We Bleed Fire plus the throw up thing. You were just like running around, burning, screaming, vomiting, just dodging tidal waves of mobs punching. It was traumatic. It was crazy. All right, raids. With this update,
a new arrival.
Someone said outflanked and We Bleed Fire was tank shells flying around. Raids. With this update, we're making some changes to raid rewards in an effort to simplify and standardize these systems by improving inventory management, consolidating reward currencies, and ensuring players are properly rewarded for taking down these challenging encounters. Completing any raid encounter with challenge mode active now awards a bonus chest containing 2 gold, 10 magnetic shards, 2 prof tokens, bonus XP, and a random exotic item. This reward can be obtained once per week per fight. This weekly achievement for completing 5 unique challenge mode raid encounters top tier Terror Toppler has been removed. So that means now the reward for top tier Terror Toppler was 10 gold. And I was told by others, I didn't realize this, it also had prof tokens in it. So basically, if you kill exactly 10 challenge mode bosses in a week, I think you're getting the same as what you're getting before. But if you killed less than that or more than that, you're getting more than you were getting before. Players will need to manually disable Emboldened from the new Emboldened moat, or they will not receive challenge mode rewards. We are working on a fix for this, and we'll update as soon as the fix is live. Oh. So they want us to be able to get challenge mode rewards, even if we... Wait a minute, hold on a sec. You can't do challenge mode with Emboldened, can you? Wasn't that normal only? I haven't touched Emboldened. I've read about it. I haven't touched the Emboldened system. You can if I recall. It disables the buff, but it also breaks getting the achievement. Okay. All right. So this is just a bug fix. They're not going back on what they did. This is just a bug fix. Okay. Gating crystals have been retired. Players will automatically have any gating crystals in their possession exchanged for an equal amount of magnetic shards. So really quickly there, magnetic shards was a currency from wing 1, 2, 3, and 4, which were the Heart of Thorns wings. Gating crystals was a currency from wings 5, 6, and 7, which were the Path of Fire raids. So now it's just all magnetic shards for simplicity. I like that. It's good. The weekly magnetite shard currency cap has been doubled. That's because magnetite shards and gating crystals both had their own cap, so now they're just doubling the one currency. Raids and achievement rewards that previously awarded gating crystals now award magnetite. Merchants who previously traded items for gating crystals now accept magnetite shards. The portable gating crystal exchange item has been renamed Kadim's Portable Magnetite Shard Exchange. I have that in my bag. Legendary divinations have been retired and replaced by legendary insights. Okay, so again, legendary insights were from the Heart of Thorns raids, legendary divinations were from the Path of Fire raids. Now, one thing that was very interesting is there were certain achievements, like legendary items, like Coalescence, where you needed a certain number of these things. They will actually be easier now. It is widely considered that the earlier raid wings are easier than 5, 6, and 7. So if you needed a bunch of divinations, well, now you need insights. Now you can get those just by farming the easier bosses. I think you still have to get one kill of the hard boss, for those achievements. But then you can farm the easier ones for your weekly farming if you wish to work on those big projects. You could have always exchanged LI to LD. There was a limit, though, Death Snacks. There was a limit to how many times you can do that, and then that is no longer available to you. You can consume your existing legendary divinations from your inventory to exchange them for legendary insights. Legendary insights will now be added directly to your wallet. Oh, they're not going into the... Oh, that's right. That's right. They mentioned that before. They won't be going into your material storage anymore. Currently, they go into your material storage because you use them in some Mystic Forge recipes, but now they're going to be in your wallet, and the Mystic Forge recipes were changed to be different. You can add your existing legendary insights to your wallet by consuming them from your inventory. Scholar Glenna now sells Gift of Prowess and Compassion, which you can purchase for the same number of wallet-based legendary insights used in their Mystic Forge recipes. So that basically makes it to where you don't need to put the items in the forge anymore. World Polish. Updated iconic characters in some Living World Season 1 story missions to become temporarily stunned rather than needing revival if they are defeated. Updated the models used by Watch Knights and Twisted Nightmares to be consistent with the changes to the Twisted Marionette. Wasn't that the, was that the thing where they made them less, let's say the old Watch Knights were, they were very curvaceous. They were very curvaceous. We know exactly what type of people designed those. But yeah, so I guess they replaced those. They put a bumper over the bumper. Personal story home instance. Fixed a bug that caused NPCs to appear inside walls and collidable objects. NPCs now appear on regular terrain as intended. Fixed a bug that caused a Quaggan hatchling standing near the Orion Oyster gathering node to interrupt gathering attempts. Like, oh boy, oysters. Pfft, don't touch my oysters. Hashtag never forget this guy that we're stealing his food. Fixed a bug that caused a cat model to overlap with a script model in the human home instance. I never got it. I gotta say, I don't say this just because I enjoy playing Asura. Asura home instance is the best one for picking everything up. It's just all in a circle. The human one, you're going like in and out of buildings. The Sylvari one is a freaking labyrinth. The Char one is half the Black Citadel. And the Asura one is just like, you're just waka 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 done. Like even if you're not in Asura, it's right by a waypoint. It's just waypoint, walk in the door. That's it, and it's all in a circle. Like, we don't even care about the human home instance. Sky Pirates. Oh god, I forgot Norns exist. Yeah, the Norn one is like, like multiple floors, and then you walk across a catwalk, and then multiple floors. It's also, it takes a lot of time. Okay. Sky Pirates. Ether investigation fixed a bug that caused Inspector Keel to lose her quest marker. Alright. General. Newly made crafting research consumables will now be automatically consumed instead of going to a player's inventory. I like it. Crafting research consumables made prior to this update are unaffected by this change. Cool. That means if you're doing the thing where you just research a whole stack of stuff, you don't have to then right-click consume on all the piles of research after you're done. That's good. That's a good thing. There's no bad thing about that thing. Remove the Imperial Everbloom purchase limit from Zazzle, the strike mission rewards vendor. Improve the visuals for higher contrast mouse cursors. I'll have to test that once I'm patched. Dungeons. Fixed a bug that prevented explorable dungeon path completion from registering players as having unlocked vendor purchases. After logging in, all players who previously completed a dungeon exploration path will receive credit for 2 path completions per unique path for dungeon vendor unlocks. That's useful with the recent changes they did to the dungeon system, where now you can buy anything from any dungeon on the dungeon vendor for like 1 currency across all dungeons, but you have to have cleared the dungeon at least once to get the stuff available on the merchant. And this bug was preventing some people from being able to do that. Items. New Mischarged Jade Trinkets are now available in the Skirmish Supervisor's Ascended Trinkets tab in World v World. These trinkets offer the new Dragons and Ritualist stat options. Nice. From End of Dragons. So currently, there is not enough ways to get these. Of course, if anyone who's been playing for years and years and years probably has legendary stuff, and they didn't even notice this problem. But if you weren't in legendary and you wanted to use these new stat things, like, it was really annoying. Like all the old ways of getting certain gear sets, many of them did not get you this. Okay. We're nearly there. There's more in today's patch than I expected. Profession skills: engineer, mechanist, mech frame variable mass distributor. Fixed a bug that causes the Jade mech's critical hit chance with this trait equipped to be exactly 17.8% less than the displayed critical hit chance in its pet stats tooltip. So, from reading that, I'm guessing that means the crit chance was supposed to be higher. Oh my god, everybody's gonna love that. It could also be almost interpreted that they fixed it by lowering the tooltip. So either the tooltip should have gone down, or the crit chance should have gone up. I'm thinking its crit chance went up from this. So that means that mech damage with variable mass distributor will be slightly higher. More so if they're power and not Conde. You know, people aren't even going to read into this that this is a bug. They're just going to be like, oh, of course, the mech buffed again. Like, that's it. I can see it now. That's going to be the forums. That's going to be Reddit. Like, it doesn't matter that it was a bug fix. Okay. All right, Guardian. Willbender has been a powerful force of PvP since the enhancement to Righteous Instincts. Yeah, I actually saw a Teapot video about that. We're mostly happy with the impact that change had on Power Guardian builds as a whole, but it pushed Willbender damage a bit over the top. We want to be careful not to bring down the damage too much, and we've started with adjustments to the offhand sword skills and rushing justice. We'll be keeping an eye on the impact of these changes, and we'll be making further adjustments if necessary. Rushing Justice power coefficient reduced from 1.5 to 1.2 in PvP. Executioner's Calling reduced power coefficient of secondary attack from 0.4 to 0.33 in PvP. Advancing Strike reduced power coefficient from 1.4 to 0.9. That's a 33% decrease in PvP. Okay. All right, I don't have a lot to add to that one as I have not been playing Willbender, but okay, know that those changes aren't happening. Necromancer. Elixir, we're talking about Harbinger. Elixir of Ambition is still an extremely powerful skill in PvP, even after the reduction to its Might application in the June 28th update. For this update, we're reducing the duration of the boons it applies, but we'll be keeping an eye on how it performs. Corruptor's Fervor is another key piece of the build, bringing a high protection uptime that can be difficult to interact with. We're reducing the prompt uptime to make this build a bit more susceptible to incoming pressure. Elixir of Ambition reduced the boon's duration from 5 seconds to 3. Oof. In PvP only. Like, it was powerful, but it's like just 3 seconds of boons. Is it even worth the slot at that point? Corruptor's Fervor reduced protection duration from 3 seconds to 1.5 in PvP only. Now, of course, you can stack prod if you can get it from multiple sources, but that is a heavy hit. Revenant. The Vindicator's defensive tools in PvP have continued to overperform, so we will be deleting this class starting August 23rd. I'm just making stuff up. Avatar PvP amulet builds became even more difficult to kill following the recent changes to Legendary Centaur Stance and the Salvation trait line. But even more aggressive Vindicator builds that take Imperial Impact over Saint Shield have strong survivability through high Vigor uptime and solid self-healing on top of their other defensive skills. I actually, everything I know about this topic has been from watching our boy Valen on his YouTube channel. He has a cool build of him in PvP and World v World running the new support Revenant and basically teabag healing people by, constantly jumping into orbit and slamming down and pumping out lots of heals and boons. He made it look pretty fun. The healing skills in Legendary Alliance Stance are notable outliers in healing potential, especially due to how frequently they're available to use. We decided to leave the healing amounts untouched to maintain the impactful moments when using these skills, and instead increase the cooldown to create a larger window of opportunity for enemy players to push through damage. Bringing these skills in line with other Revenant heals required a significant cooldown increase, and we wanted to give some slight compensation by reducing the energy costs. Wrapping up the Vindicator adjustments are reductions to Vigor uptime and 2 additional changes targeted at Avatar Amulet builds to further bring down their self-survivability with reductions to Saint Shield and Unyielding Devotion. We left most of Salvation Inventory untouched for this update as we want these tools to be available for potential support rev builds, and we want to gauge the impact of this set of changes before doing anything further. We're prepared to follow up with additional changes to Vindicator survivability as needed. Going forward, we'll try to strike a balance between enabling support builds and keeping selfish defensive builds in check. Selfish Spirit increased cooldown from 10 seconds to 30. Oh god. Triple cooldown in PvP, but reduce the energy cost from 10 to 5 in PvP. Selfish Spirit increased cooldown from 10 to 30 PvP, reduce... Wait, is this the same spirit twice? No, that's Selfless. That's the flip over version. That's the other one. So Selfish and Selfless have gone from 10 to 30 seconds, but half energy cost. Song of Arboreum, reduced Vigor duration from 4 seconds to 2 in PvP. Unwavering Avoidance, reduced Vigor duration from 3 to 1.5 in PvP when Vindicator specialization is equipped. Oh, that's a very interesting way of doing it. That's a creative way compared to what they've done in the past. So, it's a trait from another line, but when you take Vendi, the trait is nerfed. Saint's Shield reduces base healing and barrier from 1700 to 1k in PvP only. Reduce healing and barrier attribute scaling from 0.7 to 0.5 in PvP only. Unyielding Devotion reduce strike damage reduction from 15% to 10% in PvP only. Okay. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for today. All right. Thank you guys for joining us for the patch. It looks like they hit everything that was important. There is absolutely nothing they... hold on. There's something here at the bottom. Warrior. In the June 28th release, we updated the Furious Burst trait in the arms line to include 5% critical chance when under the effects of Fury. This was widely considered to be a mistake. Arms is known as a more condition-based trait line, and they put this thing that power people wanted into that, and it was then harder to get to. However, modern power warrior builds don't typically incorporate the arms trait line, meaning that warriors were not fairly compensated for the Fury change. In this update, we've added 5% critical strike chance to Pinnacle of Strength in the Strength trait line. Furious Burst will retain its increased critical chance. Pinnacle of Strength, this trait now gives 5% increased critical strike chance in addition to other effects. Now, I want to remind warrior friends that have not been keeping up with the news, there is more fixes coming in relation to banners. But not today. They need more time for that. Today's fix has your 5% crit fix. So that is the first of the things for the warriors. And Mechan is buffed. Woo! All right, so that's it for today. I'm, as someone who never got to play Living World Season 1, I'm legitimately looking forward to going through the Scarlet stuff. I want to try out these new world bosses in all of the important races starting newbie zones. That's pretty exciting. And Fractals look a lot more, you know, like 200 IQ. A lot more things that you can do in here. Can't wait to go in there and, you know, throw up on some enemies. What's your class? Oh no, I'm just a villager, but it's toxic sickness today, so I'm ready to go. I ate a whole bunch of Chipotle on the way here. I'm ready to fight. The raid stuff is nice. This is more quality of life. I'm slightly interested in doing some more challenge mode raids, like the easy ones. Like, for anyone out there who's maybe into raiding and you've never tried challenge modes, maybe you're intimidated, I got a guide for that. I got a guide that has all the challenge mode changes. Some of them, some quick examples, Keep Construct and Cairn, they are barely more difficult than the normal version. You know, yes, there are some extremes. Doom, Kadim, way more difficult on challenge mode. Cairn, Keep Construct, Mursat Overseer are very small increases in difficulty, and now it pays really well. It pays much better. So if you're interested in that, I got a guide for that up on the lab. You know, link to the lab is in the description as always. And yeah, you know, you get on in there, and your group, if you could kill it on normal, I promise you could kill it on challenge mode after a couple of attempts. You'd be all right. You'd be all right. But yeah. Someone says show the cat bot. Do you have a link to the cat bot? Okay, let's see what is new, if anything, on here. We've got mini white kitten, adorbs, cat ear. Whose hair is that? Chat, this hood is so adorable until you put it on someone who's bald. Because this means that someone else wore this and left hair in it, and now it's on me, and that disgusts me.
Arrival.
It disgusts me that it gives you hair that should not be there. All right, cat stuff, cat stuff, wait, what? Why does, okay, that's weird. When you view the mini orange kitten, my backpack phases through my body. Okay. Bug Wars 2, Season 1, Episode 7. All right. Let's see. Wandering weapon stuff. That's already been there before. Cuddly cat jade butt. 1,600 gems? I gotta say, I'm pretty surprised at the price tag. Jade bots you don't see very often. You don't get to see them very frequently. That's a very expensive piece of artwork that you don't get to see much. Yeah, it is cute. It is cute. I'm just saying that's a lot for something you see like a couple seconds per hour. Let's see. Tropical feathered cape. Fancy pants, very boost goose. Let's see. Joy harvesting, tireless. Like, I saw someone in chat earlier. They said they misread this and they thought this said tireless Logan minion. Like Logan would show up, would take his shirt off slowly and chop down the tree for you. And you just sit there sweating. And I gotta say, that's canon to me now. Okay, so that is all of today's changes. Now you're up to date on today's news. Warriors, there are more fixes coming for you related to banners in the future, and the new items on the trading post have been covered. So with that, if you've got anything else that I missed, be sure to put it in the comments section down below. Spread the good news, and I will see y'all in the next video.